Hey, this is Chris from Preppy Boys Automotive. We do automotive repairs in all makes and all models. And our motto here is professional auto repair at backyard prices. Today we're working on a 99 Chevy Astro van. It's a two-wheel drive, 6-cylinder model. Problem is the vehicle was towed in here. It has a broken lower ball joint. See if I can get a, as you can see right there, that the lower ball joint is broken. The lower ball joint on this vehicle is pressed in, so you either need a hydraulic press or a ball joint press, a portable one, which is what I'm going to be using. In order to get to it, you're going to have to disassemble the entire steering knuckle. That's the easiest way to take care of it. In order to do that, obviously you first need to start off by taking your brakes apart. It's not, well, I'm sorry. You don't have to take the brake rotor off on these ones. The bearings are inside. There's no point in really taking it apart. So you're going to take your brakes apart. You're going to unbolt the upper ball joint. There is a crown nut in there with a cotter pin. Make sure you remove that cotter pin out and don't snap it when you take that nut off, or else you're going to be in a world of hurt. And then last but not least, the outer tie rod. From there, the steering knuckle will actually completely come off the vehicle because the lower ball joint is obviously damaged, or broken, I'm sorry. So we're going to disassemble the brakes and start taking this apart, and we'll continue filming as we go. Okay, we got the new ball joint pressed in there. We don't have the boot on just yet, but we're going to grab the boot and reinstall that. From there, it's just a process of putting it all back together, and that'll be pretty much about it. I actually just wanted to get a better view. There's the part of the ball joint that is attached to the steering knuckle, and there's the part that's actually pressed in to the lower control arm. One thing to note, typically, you know, just remove the entire knuckle, steering knuckle, like I said before. However, one thing to note is this is the ABS wiring. You got to be really careful about damaging this because this is not a cheap part. This one is actually riveted to the upper control arm, so I'm not going to remove the steering knuckle completely out of the vehicle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the upper ball joint from the steering knuckle. I got to inspect this thing just because the lower did break, so most likely the upper got some kind of damage as well. And then I'm just going to hang this over here and secure it so it doesn't hang on this ABS wire and doesn't damage it. That way we really don't have to worry about these rivets into the control arms, being that they are probably factory, obviously. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to separate that upper ball joint from the knuckle and hang the control arm, I'm sorry, not control arm, the steering knuckle out of the way. Just a little tip, to separate the ball joint from the steering knuckle, sometimes going to be a pain in the ass. You can use what they call a pickle fork to remove it, or a very good way to do it as well is with your good sized hammer. Obviously you want to secure this knuckle like I already have, because this thing is not the lightest in the world, especially when it's dead weight. So what you do is you strike not the control arm, but where the shaft goes through itself, the steering knuckle. So you strike that with a couple hammers, and as you can see, it pops out just like that. And that ABS wire is a little hung, so I gotta fix that. But there you go, upper ball joint and the what's left of the lower ball joint. So I'm gonna get the press set up. All right, sorry about that. I have my ball joint press set up. There's like multiple ways you can press this out, different setups, but this is the setup I'm gonna try because the ball joint's already out. So you got your receiver cup there, and the forcing rod's basically gonna push it through into the receiving cup. So I'm going to try this for a setup. If not, I'm going to put like a little cup right there on the top. So we'll see what happens. And I'm gonna... Alright, I got the lower ball joint out. There it is on the floor. The way I actually did it, I tried with the C-clamp, the ball joint press down here. Sometimes these ball joints get so seized in there, especially being that this is the original one. It was so rusted in there. So I know, once again, this is probably not a tool that, you know, the normal person's going to have at their home, but I had to take the oxyacetylene torch, and I heated the area around the ball joint. Not the ball joint itself, but the area around, which will cause the metal to expand. And then I actually just took my hammer and smacked it a few times, and it popped right out. So obviously you do not want to press it in that way, but it's a little easier that way if it just seized in there. Once again, if you do not have one of these torches, which most people don't, then you're going to be stuck doing it the old-fashioned way with the the press, which nothing wrong with it, but you might have a little bit more issue. If you do not have that, you can try spraying PB Blaster around the rim here and let that soak in. Maybe it'll actually loosen up the rust and it'll come out a little easier. Or you can just go to your local auto parts store and buy yourself either a MAP gas torch. Don't buy propane, it doesn't get hot enough. Or MAP gas doesn't get horribly hot, but it's better than propane. Heat it the best you can and tighten it down. And if it doesn't want to move no more, strike the surface of the control arm itself, which sometimes may free it. So just a little tip there. From now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the hole a little bit with a wire brush, get any rust out of there. I'm going to apply like a thin layer of grease inside here, so pressing a little bit easier, and then get the ball joint press set up and press it back in. All right, we have it set up to press our new ball joint in. Have the receiver cup, the top cup. If you probably can't see it. Basically, the shaft's going to come up through the top, so allow it to be pressed in. We've got our forcing rod at the bottom, and then another cup is going to push it directly up. And then we're just going to tighten this down and press it in. Okay, we got the new ball joint pressed in there. We don't have the boot on just yet, but we're going to grab the boot and reinstall that. From there, it's just a process of putting it all back together, and that'll be pretty much about it.